I actually lost all of my controls for a second.
Ha-ha.
So.
Are you able to see now my
Yep, I can see some
screen?
Beautiful green leaves, so I think we're probably set up.
I'm sharing the wrong monitor.
Sharing the wrong screen?
All right, actually, you know what? I'm just going to be very lazy and just move over here, and now I'm in the right place.
Okay.
And I will forgo sharing my face with you folks today, as Jason's doing, but I'll work my way up to that maybe by the next presentation.
You still in your pajamas?
No, I'm fully dressed. I'm just a little bit self-conscious, which is surprising, I know, for somebody in Los Angeles. You know, I'm one of the few people here that does not have a second career in Hollywood. So
that's right. Okay, great. I can see your screen well, so we'll just throw it over to you. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. As Jason mentioned, everybody, I'm the Information Account Executive here at Constitution State Services, which is the TPA that's part of Travelers, which is obviously why I'm here at the Travelers home screen. And we're going to talk about how you can report claims using our e-claim reporting tool via the public internet here. Now, some of you may have an ID and a password with which you can access our e-claim reporting application, our claim status application, eKarma. Many of you may not have that access. Maybe you don't have enough claims that you feel it's warranted. But if you want to access using an ID and a password, it's a little bit easier because it knows who you are when you start out, and there's some other benefits to it, and Jason can get you started there. But I want to focus on how to report a claim if you do not have an ID and a password for accessing our eClaim reporting tool and claim status. You just want to make sure to get a claim into Travelers. Now, of course, there's lots of different ways. The information packet that you're sent with the information about us and how to report claims, it has the 800 number for reporting claims as well as the link on that tool to this application here. You can also fax or email. However, in the interest of what Jason was talking about as far as information quality and data accuracy, I'm going to ask if possible you consider always using the eClaim reporting tool or the telephone tool to report your claims. And that's because when you fax in a claim to Travelers or use the email option, as some of you may do, we don't have the dialogue. If you're reporting it using this eClaim reporting tool, you'll be asked questions, you'll answer them. If you are doing it on the phone, of course, our Travelers employees at our call centers will do the same process. If you're faxing it or emailing it in, we just have to work with whatever you send us, and sometimes there's an important piece of information missing. If you happen to be one of the people, for instance, that's at one of the member entities that has department coding, generally, when you fax a claim in your email a claim and that information is missing, the claim doesn't get coded properly right away, or there's not enough information to really know what kind of accident happening and code the claim properly. And of course, when you report the claim, that information ends up flowing into our loss reports, the claims code a particular way, and people at the trust and at Constitution State Services look at that information and try and figure out how to help you guys. And anyway, the more information that we have, the more accurately the better, which is why I'm going to show you, basically just walk you through the whole process of reporting a claim online using our public internet tool so you can see how that works. When you go to travelers.com, you know, if you don't have the link from the trust on that welcome package, you can just go to just www.travelers.com and you'll be redirected to the secure site, and you can just look for this right here, claim, or, you know, click up here, Claim Center. Either way, you'll end up being taken to this right here. This actually may be, when you first go to it, I think it might be like this, select claim type, and then just pick business and click on Start a Claim. Now you can, you know, call on this number again. Either way, you end up getting a claim number immediately. Again, if you're calling it in, the person on the other end is going to be walking through the same process that I'm going to be walking through, but obviously it's the Travelers person. And again, this may seem like it's going to take longer than faxing in a claim or just emailing it, but generally I think it's really honest to say that the time you save up front, you end up spending behind the scenes, and other people at Constitution State Services and the trust end up spending getting the information in the claim later. It may seem like it's longer, but I think it's really the best way. When you get here, you have the option of again, if you have an ID to log in, you could do it here or use the link we provide you, but you can click on Continue here. There's only one piece of information that you need when you report a claim using the Public Internet tool. So I'm going to just pretend I'm reporting an auto claim, and I'm going to say I'm the policyholder. No, it's not only glass. Now, what I'm going to do for reporting purposes and for training purposes here is I'm just going to answer the questions that are mandatory. This is a fake phone number, and I can't bring myself to type in the wrong fake phone number. That's weird. Actually, you know what? This is actually, I'm in the wrong place here because I need to be at a different place where it's asking me just for the, well, yeah, see, this isn't going to. Sorry about that. I've managed to make a wrong turn here.
It's that Internet Explorer.
Sorry, I'm sorry. No. We're everything's perfect. You know what? I'm just basically like, okay, claims for individuals, Lee, over here, claims for businesses. So don't be like me. Make sure you look on the screen. There's two columns, claims for businesses over here. That was on purpose.
That was on purpose, just to show us.
So, you know, and again, you know, for me, I don't usually report claims, especially not using the Public Internet tool on the individual side. So when you get here doing your claim for business, you have this warning screen of different things you have to do. And this part here, I don't want you to take this too seriously. When you report a claim, please answer everything. It tells you that all the questions with an asterisk are required. And if you notice, there won't be very many of those because we're not going to turn away somebody reporting a claim even if the information isn't really that thorough. But obviously for your purposes, really, we want to get as much information as possible, unless it obviously doesn't make any sense, you know, in the context of the claim. But please answer as much as you can. Make sure you have your pop-up blocker off. And when we continue, you have this very simple question, what type of loss? Actually, you know what? For our purposes, I'm going to answer and say workers' compensation because with auto, I have to fill in lots of information about which car you had and who the other person's automobile was or vehicle was. And workers' comp is a little bit simpler, but you would pick the appropriate line of insurance here. And you can see first-party property, liability, automobile. Who are you in relation to this loss? Account insured. On which date did the accident occur? And you're just, obviously, you're just going to, you know, answer these questions as best as you can. And the important part really is the next screen. If you happen to be reporting a loss for workers' comp, you don't know this, you can put in 8s here just to populate it. 888-888-888. Oh, you're not going to let me use a fake? Okay. You can ignore my Social Security number here. I said this isn't really my real Social Security, but all right. What are you doing? All right, there we go. It helps to have the right number. This is the most important part here. The only information that you need besides www.travelers.com and making sure to not be like me and make sure to click on the business reporting tool is you need the policy number or the account number. The account number is the easy thing to remember here. You just have to do like 6 zeros, and you do have to type in the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then AT7. Once you do that for the account number, hit continue, it will know you're with the trust, and then it will pull up the list of all the entities that you can possibly report claims for, okay? Now, very important, if you do not see your name here, you know, there's this thing where maybe, you know, you're West Bountiful and it's W. So, you know, look for that, you know, maybe it's abbreviated. But if you don't find yourself in there, you know, definitely talk to the folks of the trust right away and we can get that rectified. For our purposes right here, because you won't be able to report a claim if you're not in the list. You should be, because as soon as you are a member entity, they tell me and I add you in there. But if you have some sort of issue, you can't see yourself in there, just hang up, report the claim using the 800 number, and then talk to the trust, and then we can get you in for the future. But you should be in here. For our purposes, I'm just going to basically just report a claim for the trust. Obviously, you will never pick this. You will pick your particular entity. For those of you that have actual departments, they will be listed here in the drop-down or in the box here. Each department name will be listed here, and you'll pick the appropriate one. But most of you will just have one choice, really, when you get here. It's very simple. It's already highlighted. Don't ever look at this box that I'm directing your attention to. I hope this is the last time you ever pay attention to this. If you ever go in here, it might be tempting to answer yes to this question, but just don't. There's really no reason for folks at the trust that will ever come up that really will be helpful for answering yes to this question. It really shouldn't be answered yes at all. It should always be just left blank. If you were to answer yes, the claim wouldn't end up getting coded properly to your entity, even though you're reporting it on our tool. So very important, just make sure this, just always leave it alone, never touch this here. And, just click on this, blindly ignore this part, go down here and hit continue. Now, behind the scenes really quick, I just checked to see if they're to pull in the information about the policy, to pull in the information coding the claim behind the scenes to your particular entity. So when you report the claim right away, as soon as it's submitted, you get the claim number that's good for the life of the claim, and it has routed it to the travelers folks to get routed to an adjuster with your entity information on it. So I'm going to fill in the information here after telling you guys on the previous screen that you want to fill in everything. I'm not going to fill in anything except for the stuff that's mandatory, just so that I can get through the screen and have you guys not watch me fill in tons of boring fake information. This will be the information that you entered in the last screen. It'll have the information for your particular entity here. Now, if you notice that the address is wrong or it hasn't been updated, let us know. Let the trust know, and they will let me know to update it. Obviously, you guys sometimes move. Sometimes it's out of date. Make sure that we know about that. I'm, again, just going to fill in the information here that I have to take you through the screen. Most of these fields are self-evident. And you notice, again, like I said, most of them are not required fields, but you're going to fill in as much as you can, as thoroughly as you can, as makes sense. Information about the injured worker. And obviously for the other lines of insurance, you'll have the same sorts of questions. There'll be questions about where the accident occurred. For auto, you'll have questions about the different vehicles involved, the injured worker, on what date did the loss occur? Did the loss occur at the subsidiary address location? Yes. If you have a workers' comp claim and you're not sure what this means, if you're not quite sure what to put in here, whenever they tell their supervisor, not necessarily, when you at the city workers' comp handling department get the claim, but whenever they tell their manager, you're going to populate that date here. And this, you have a balancing act here, because we're asking you to provide a brief description of the loss, but you have 234 characters, and we don't want you to do what some people will do. Well, they'll have like worker fell on floor. You want to put in something where maybe it's not a novel, but worker was walking down hallway and slipped on spilled Coke, bruising. Oh, come on. Okay, you can now see I can't type with an audience. Bruising left hip. You get the idea. Just as much information as you can without just going overboard with it, because this information is going to end up being on our loss reports. So when the trust generates a loss report for you, you generate a report for yourself if you have access to that tool, and you see the description here. And the travelers folks, the Constitution State Services folks handling your claim, see the information. It's all going to be exactly what you put in here. So it's kind of memorialized forever as the loss description of the claim. So it's going to give everybody a really good idea about what happened. And obviously, the more information, the better, and we can figure out what happened.
Hey, Lee, could I jump in right here?
Absolutely, please.
This is something that is a challenge to us. Is part of our job in loss prevention is to really see what's happening in claims, so we can direct our services around what type of losses we're seeing. This of all the information we put in, this description is one of the most important things to get good information. You know, I've seen descriptions that said worker was injured, and that was all the information that we had. So, you know, kind of just like Lee has said, a description here, what happened, and what was injured. You know, if you can put in the detail of, you know, it's the left hip, that information is great. You know, it's a single sentence here, but that tells us a ton about what really happened. Where, you know, where this is, he says here, spilled Coke. You know, that as we go in and we evaluate slips and falls, if we don't have that detail there, we might assume that it's snow and ice. We might assume things wrong. So the more detail you can give us there, the better. You don't have to write a book, but just a little detail. So if somebody comes into this completely outside of the incident that happened, can they really get an understanding of what happened? Thanks, Lee.
Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, like Jason is saying, a lot of people end up looking at this, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm glad you're all attending, and that a lot of times I think we don't really understand when we're reporting the losses using this tool, just, you know, how many people rely on the information that you're putting in here. And I think sometimes we assume that the adjuster will get everything, and that's true, but a lot of the information the adjuster gets doesn't get it in the right format that we can pull into reports. One of the most important pieces when you're reporting a claim is these questions right here. Again, note that they're not mandatory to answer, but we want you to always answer these questions. Please select what best describes the cause of the accident. You're going to have in this drop-down box here, well, alphabetically, a list of all the possible things. Now, I said that this person had a slip and fall on spilled Coke, so that'd be fall or slip from liquid or grease spills. Liquid or grease spills. There's these miscellaneous ones, and you might end up really having a claim that is really a miscellaneous one. Sometimes there's just weird accidents, and something just isn't covered by miscellaneous. However, please just take a look before you go to miscellaneous. Just make sure there's no other option that better fits the claim, because as you can imagine, like what Travis and I are talking about, when you look at a claim, a list, and you're looking at a bunch of claims trying to figure out what's happening at what entities, and you have a bunch of claims in the miscellaneous bucket, well, of course, you know, you or us, or we have to look at every single claim trying to figure out, okay, what is this claim is in the miscellaneous bucket. And again, sometimes it's unavoidable. Just do your best and try and find one that fits better than miscellaneous. So I'm going to go back to my slip and fall from liquid or grease spills. And then this one, please select the nature of injury. Oh, I skipped out part of the body. Starts from the top of the body to the bottom, so the hip should be in the middle somewhere. Oh, there it is. Now, you might have multiple body parts. You only get to pick one, so pick the one that you figure is the most important injury. If you do something where you report the loss and then later on you realize, like, oh my goodness, I put in all the wrong information because the thing that I thought was a major injury turned out to be a minor injury, you can let the trust know, and they can update these codes and have the adjuster make corrections on their end as well, and update it to something that's more current. So don't worry about it too much. Just put in based on the information you have at the time. All right, lower extremity hip, and then C, alphabetical, contusion. Now, this is the most important question when you're reporting a claim. This is going to be, especially for workers' comp, are you aware of any issues which would make you question this injury? We don't have a similar sort of question on the liability necessarily, or the auto, but for workers' comp especially, we are going to be asking the question, is there anything that's going on that makes you wonder if this is a meritorious claim, or perhaps you know it happened, but you're not sure if it's work-related. And this information, if answered, will allow us to get the accident to the appropriate adjuster where they can actually do an investigation into the compensability. And if you answer yes to these questions, then you'll be asked to put in something in detail here. But if you're not sure, I would suggest asking somebody else at your entity, or asking somebody at the trust who's an expert with this sort of question, just to make sure that you really know that it's a compensability issue. Just because we've had, you know, as you can imagine, some customers where they misunderstand what we're asking, and they think, well, it's the person's fault. You know, they weren't paying attention. Well, that's not really what workers' comp is about. And, you know, so just if you're not sure or you want to answer yes to this question, but you want to get a second opinion, definitely ask just to make sure. But if it is something that's compensability, where the compensability is questions, we'll definitely investigate it. So for the purpose of this, because I don't want to bother filling all this stuff in, I'll say no. Again, very important questions here, as you can see, as far as hospital, the initial medical treatment was provided, was first aid provided? Did they go to hospital or clinic? If you answer yes, then we'll have to fill out that information. If they lost any time from work. Now, I'm almost done with this, but again, you can see here, there's a lot of different questions I'm skipping over, and you're going to fill those out to the best of your ability, obviously, so the adjuster has the correct information. Down here, we actually have a couple questions that are important where you're going to fill these out. This is just for the trust. This question actually has some use for the trust as far as just what's your county. And then this question, if applicable, what's the department name? Now, you might not need to fill this in, or it might not make any sense to fill this in, but if you are one of the entities where you don't have the trust maintain a list of your departments for coding the claims to, and when you reported the claim, you just had one line for your entity, it might make sense for you to use this box and just do something really big like administration, fire, public safety, grounds, parks, whatever makes sense for you. If you have departments, even if you don't have the trust, keep track of them officially as departments that we code the claims to, you can still run a report or have the trust run a report for you, pulling this information later if you populate it. So again, this is another field that is useful to you or could be useful to you where it's not mandatory, but if you populate the information in here, you could have the trust generate a report for you later that arranges your claims by the department that you fill in here. And this is a question that's populated on every single claim, regardless if it's auto, workers' comp, GL. And again, it might not make sense for you to always have a department populated there, especially if it's like a GL claim where somebody slips and falls on a sidewalk or something like that. But it's useful, and again, it's something that you may not know if you've seen this before. The trust can actually pull a report for you that actually has this information. I'll just say she's administrative, so administration. Please indicate the person who we should be contacting. Oh, that's me. All right. Now, we have an important point here down here as far as reporting your claim. I'm not going to finish this last piece because I am actually in the real reporting tool, and I do not want to report a report for travelers. But actually, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to switch to a different tool. And, well, actually, no, I'm not. But if you actually click on the submitted loss, you get a link that would tell you that your claim's been submitted. It would give you a claim number that's good for life of the claim. And right then, the trust would be aware of the claim. The travelers folks would assign the claim, and you would have the phone number for the claims office handling your claim, and you could call them up and tell them I just reported claim, you know, ABC 1234, and I have some questions or some additional information, and you would be routed to the right department at least right away, even though you just reported the claim. So again, I wanted to go through this process and show you exactly what happened without actually reporting a real claim to you. Now, there's actually something that I wanted to show you besides just the reporting a claim piece. And again, you know, we want to go through detail with this because it ends up being really important, all the different pieces of information, and just giving you comfort on the workflow if you haven't done it before. And again, if you're used to reporting the claims via fax or using some other method besides using the e-claim reporting or telephone reporting, then, you know, certainly, if you can, please give it a try. Now, if you're used to using the claim reporting where you call up the 800 number, there's really nothing from our perspective that makes one better than the other, but you may want to try using the eClaim reporting tool if you haven't, just because you have more control over the process, you know, and you can get that description of loss just the way you want it. You can make sure the right accident cause code is picked, because our notice takers, you know, if when you're reporting a claim, they're doing that behind the scenes. They're not actually. So, do you think that this is the right code to pick? They're not. They're just going to do that on their own using their expertise. You might have a difference of opinion about what claim, what cause coding you want and body part codes you want. And so, if you use the eClaim reporting tool over telephone reporting, you might have some more control over it. But again, it's up to you. And you know, I think if you only report a claim once in a while, the telephone option may work better for you. Either one for travelers, from a Constitution State's perspective, is fine. But you may want to give the public internet tool a try. Now, I'm going to show you just something really quick that gives you an idea about where your information goes. I'm going into our claim status tool. Some of you will have access to this tool and some of you won't. This is something where if you wanted to see about the trust giving you access to the claim status tool, you can ask Jason to start out with. But this is information, or this is a tool where you can see real-time information on your claim. And I'm showing you here a fake claim, because obviously I'm not going to put, oops, hold on a second, let me move that back over there. We're not going to show anybody's confidential information here. But this is a fake claim that we've established in our real system so that you can actually see the way it looks. This will actually be getting a facelift sooner rather than later, so it'll look even nicer. But a lot of the information that you report will end up on this screen. People at the trust look at this. Our adjusters see a different version of this information where when you report the claim, everything flows into this tool right away. And if you see here, the first thing that happens is we have this loss description here. That's what you type in the system. Just so you know, the financials are real-time, the claim notes are real-time. If you want access to the system, it's really nice for being able to tell exactly what's happening on the claim. And then this information right here that we rely on, this is, again, what you type in when you're coding the claim. This tool is kind of nice because it also has this primary diagnosis. So when you report the claim, you may have one understanding of the claim. And you can see the person basically had dislocation, strain injury by pushing or pulling, and I guess a rotator cuff rupture would probably involve a dislocation, but worse. But anyway, you can see it's a little bit different, and it's an actual diagnosis from a doctor rather than just what you thought when you reported the claim. This screen, by the way, this claim summary screen in the claim status tool is really useful. If you've done a claim review with the Constitution State Services folks, you've seen this because it's the cover page that's over the notes when they do a claim review. One of the neat things about this tool, if you have it, is you can just click on the claim handler supervisor's names and it opens an email up in Outlook that populates the information about the claim automatically, so it's easy to ask questions and get answers back about your claim via email. And you have these really cool notes here at the bottom. There's only two kinds of notes that are pushed to this. You can access all the notes up here, but on the claim summary screen, we actually have the incurred rationale, which is the most recent incurred rationale, which is what they put in when they establish a reserve and when they change a reserve. And it's, as you can see here, great detail explaining exactly what the reserve is and why. And then there's a resolution plan. Within 90 days after getting the file, and every 90 days or as often as makes sense, if it's more often than that, they'll put in a resolution plan indicating what happened, what they're doing to get the claim resolved. On a liability claim, you'll have that information in the notes, but it won't be on this screen. But for workers' comp claims, you have this here, and you'll be able to see the information as far as what they're doing to get the person permanent stationary, back to work, whatever. And in addition to this information, you have access to all the claim summary notes, or rather the claims to all the financials, all the notes on the file, and so you can get a really good idea about what's happening on your claims. Now, you might not have enough of a volume of claims that you feel this is necessary, but just remember that if you ever need this information, of course, the trust or me, we can help you pull this information so you can get real-time information about a particular claim that you're looking at. I just wanted to give you this just just see this, just so you can see the way that your information flows into our tool and is blended with the information about the claim, and just that it doesn't just sit there in the eClaim reporting tool, or once it's reported, it actually becomes part of the claim file that we rely on to figure out what's happening and goes into our reports. There's other stuff that I could show you, but honestly, I think that for our purposes today, I've covered everything that we really wanted to cover as far as just the specifics of reporting the claim and the importance of the different questions and getting the correct information to the adjuster, to risk control folks like Jason and people like me and Diane Purvis, our claim account executive here at Constitution State Services. There may have been questions that were asked, Jason. What additional information do you have, Jason, that you wanted to make sure that we conveyed?
You know, one of the things that, let's see, let me grab the desktop just quickly. So I'm showing, can you see my desktop now?
I'm seeing the loss prevention.
Okay, see, so I will send out this directory just as far as you can go the public route that Lee has shown us, but I'll also send out, this is a directory for the trust. If you can see this yellow section, there are step-by-steps how to report a claim on the computer, over the phone, those things with the claim number you can see there.
Hey,
to make that as
I'm not seeing that. I'm not.
You're not seeing my.
I can't see it either, Jason.
Did I not click the right button? Hold on. I'm not seeing anything. Sorry, hold on. I lost all of my controls. One brief second here. Now can you see it? Can't see it yet?
No, can't see it.
You know what? There we go.
Okay.
We'll just swap it back to Lee. Anyway, suffice it to say.
We'll just create a visualization.
Yeah, suffice it to say, I have this. I have this directory. Has a nice little section in there. It's in yellow. I will email that out to everybody who signed up for the webinar today, so you can have that available. Has our contact information as well, so to make it as easy as possible. If you ever have questions, you can definitely give us a call anytime, and we'll help out with that. Let's see, Brent and Doug, did you have anything to bring up? I'm just trying to bring my screen back up so I can see all the information.
Nothing else. I think you've covered it well.
Okay. Just trying to see if we've got questions. Sorry, this popped out of my regular view here. Okay, I'm not seeing questions there. Just along with this, there are a lot of tools that we have available. We have dashboards that we can help out. As you know, we can give you information as the trust, as a pool, all of our entities. This is where our injuries come from. This is where our auto accidents come from. What type of incidents? But we also can drill down for you and show you information as far as your specific claims. And you know, if you have multiple departments and we've coded those as such, we can go in and say, this is the department that's really driving your losses. This is the department for auto losses. This is the department for work comp losses, and drill down to the level of dollars and cents, total number of claims. And so those are available. You know, say you have a safety committee, and you're really asking yourself, okay, where are these coming from? Where can we be most effective in our safety committee? Please let us know in loss prevention, and we can get that information to you to use in that safety committee. And if you'd like, we can probably come out and make a presentation for you. Okay, Lee, anything else? I'm not seeing any questions there.
I can't think of anything else. One of the things, Jason, I think you probably are communicating the information. I also have that catalog that I established in GoToMeeting on my end, where I'm going to be conducting our classes on a routine basis. And I'll have a couple different ones where I'll have a series of basic classes like this, basically that I'll do for public internet people, but I'll also have some classes on e-claim reporting and claim status and e-karma that I'll have on the calendar for those folks that have access to that. So, you know, just look out for that if you haven't already got that information. Jason will send that information out so that there'll be additional classes beyond those that and seminars that the Trust puts out. I'll have some classes specifically about this as the year goes on next year, so that in case you totally forget everything and then want a refresher, you'll be able to join me for another class in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks, Lee. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and give us this information. This is very important. You know, you can look at this and say, you know, I'm just getting the information in there. The adjusters will take care of it. Just that simple step of reporting this really sets the tone, gets things classified where they need to be. It can have a major effect on the outcome of the claim. And so your information, your cooperation in that is really important. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Lee. Okay, we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you again soon. Everybody have a safe day.